Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently pushing the word in sincerity and in faith. And Shalom to all the sincere believers. Now, this lesson is going to be based on these severe storms that are set to hit the central U.S. into early May. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this article, get some precepts, and Lord's will, you're edified. It says severe storms with monster hail, high winds, and tornadoes to rock central U.S. into early May. Several thunderstorms featuring extremely large hail will continue to be relentless in the coming days. Tornadoes are also another prime concern for portions of the plains and later the Midwest. AccuWeather meteorologists warn. Says where storms repeat, the risk of flash flooding will also increase. Thursday and Friday were very active days for severe weather, ranging from monster hail to high winds and tornadoes. Hailstones with a diameter of 5 inches or more fell on Motley and Floyd counties in Texas. Updrafts within thunderstorms capable of producing hailstones the size of baseballs and grapefruits often exceed 100 miles per hour. Occasionally, these powerful drafts can reach the ground in the form of damaging wind gusts. Winds gusted to hurricane force near Ponderosa Park, Colorado, and more than a dozen tornadoes were reported, mostly in remote areas of the plains. Mother Nature continued to pick on many of the same portions of the southern plains on Saturday. Damaging winds, large hail, and even a couple of tornadoes were reported from eastern Colorado to eastern New Mexico and West Texas, and as far east as Oklahoma and Arkansas. On Sunday, the severe weather threat will migrate over the plains, setting the stage for a run of severe weather across the Midwest and into the Northeast before the middle of the week. Storm Sunday will stretch from Texas to the Dakotas and eastern Montana. The main threats will be large hail and powerful wind gusts, while most storms will fire from Nebraska on north. There can be a few thunderstorms in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas that can be severe. As a large storm begins to push east of the Rockies early this week, thunderstorms will begin to erupt away from the high plains and then move along ahead of a push of cooler and less humid air. On Thursday, AccuWeather meteorologists began to highlight a zone where more numerous severe thunderstorms are likely to occur Monday. This threat area was escalated to a high risk earlier this weekend. It says on Monday, all modes of severe weather are expected along a 1,300-mile long zone from northern Minnesota and Wisconsin to central Texas. Storms packing large hail, powerful wind gusts, and a few strong tornadoes will likely focus on Iowa, southeastern Minnesota, northern Missouri, northeastern Kansas, eastern Nebraska, and southwestern Wisconsin. The risk of severe weather will carry on through much of Monday night as the storms press eastward. Some of the tornadoes expected to spawn later Monday can be long-lived, said AccuWeather meteorologist Elizabeth Danko. This will pose a serious risk, particularly with those that develop after dark, when they are more difficult to detect and prepare for. By Tuesday, the forward speed of the cold front and corresponding thunderstorms will accelerate over the northern part of the nation. Locally severe thunderstorms will extend from north central Texas to southern Ontario, western, northern, and central New York, and northwestern New England. The main threats will be from strong wind gusts and hail, but a few storms may pulse enough to trigger a tornado, especially in the eastern Great Lakes region. A new brood of severe thunderstorms will erupt over the south central United States by the middle of the week as a storm system develops along the tail end of the cold front. The storm could fuel several days of severe weather across the region, lasting into Thursday and possibly Friday, the first days of May. People spending time outdoors are encouraged to watch for changing weather conditions, monitor severe weather bulletins, and seek shelter as storms approach. Avoid sheltering under trees, open walled pavilions, and golf carts, as these can be struck and destroyed by lightning. Vehicles should be parked indoors where possible to avoid damage from falling trees and hailstones. As the front slows and stalls over the middle of the nation to parts of the southern plains from Tuesday and Wednesday, repeating showers and thunderstorms will again raise the risk of flooding in a zone that has been deluged multiple times during April. Yeah, so basically, the Lord is about to unleash even more storms and tempests upon this place. Isaiah 29 and 6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. And this in itself just proves that all this Mother Nature talk, these storms and tempests are coming from the Lord, not Mother Nature. The rain, the hail, the lightning, the tornadoes. This is the work of the Heavenly Father Yahweh. He deserves the credit for these storms and tempests. Isaiah 28 and 2. Behold, the Lord hath a mighty and strong one, which as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. And in that article, that's what they were talking about. Hail, these powerful winds that will, could bring down trees. If the Lord has torrential rainfall, it could result in flooding. Psalms 11 and 6. Upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone, and an horrible tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup. And when you look up the definition of tempest, it's a violent windy storm, such as a hurricane or a tornado. And they're predicting that there's going to be a lot of tornadoes spawning from these severe storms that are going to be taking place. Psalms 83:14. As the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. Verse 15. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. And that's exactly what the Heavenly Father is doing. Dishing out these thunderstorms, lightning storms, rainstorms, hailstorms, tornadoes, to, make these people afraid, bring judgment upon these different cities, destruction and death, because that's what comes along with these storms and tempests. Second Timothy 3:1, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And when you look up the definition of perilous, it means full of danger or risk. And we are living in times full of danger, because every time you turn around, there's an earthquake, there's a fire, there's some kind of storm or tempest taking place. There's all the shootings and stabbings and planes crashing and volcanoes erupting, and there's wars popping off, and there's diseases, and it's just always something happening, which is proof that we are living in the last days, because these judgments are just constant. It's like every day something else is happening, and things are just going to get continuously worse. And these are the type of events that the men of the Lord are constantly talking about and warning people about. But nobody wants to listen. People just want to, continue to play around, and be wicked and participate in a bunch of folly. Proverbs 22:3, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And those of us of the hopeful elect, through the Spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, we are the prudent. And when you look up the definition of prudent, it means wise. So we're able to foresee the evil. We're able to foresee all the destruction that's about to take place. And we're hiding ourselves by cleaving unto the Lord, by moving more righteously in the eyes of the Lord. But these simple people that are not paying attention, they're focused on a bunch of carnal, wicked folly. They're the ones who are going to get punished. And they're going to get punished by getting caught up in these judgments, getting caught up in the earthquakes, in the fires, in the storms and tempests, because they wanted to play around. They thought it was a joke. They thought it was a game, until them judgments happen. And then the people are scared. And then they want to get right. Then people want to start praying. But it's like at that point, it's already too late. You should have been getting your act together before the Lord opened up the floodgates of judgment upon you. But that's something that people are going to continuously learn the hard way. A lot of people think that they can just BS around, and then when judgment hits, then they're like, oh, then they want to pray to the Lord and expect the Lord to listen to them. And majority of these people, they're busy calling on the name Salakia. They're busy calling on the names of Jesus and Yahweh and all these other gods. That's not the name of the Lord, So the Lord isn't listening to them anyway. These people, they want to run around here being wicked and being demons and provoking the Lord unto wrath. And then when the Lord pours out his wrath, then these people, they want to call on all of these false names, because they don't know the name of the Lord. They don't know his true name. So now they're calling on all these false names, thinking that the Lord is going to listen to them, and the Lord ain't listening to them. Not only because they're calling on false names, but because up until this point, they've been doing nothing but wickedness. They weren't afraid of the consequences when they were doing all that wickedness. But now that the consequences are coming, now they're afraid. And it's like, nah, you got to deal with that. You got to reap what you've sown. And unfortunately for these people, a lot of that reaping what they've sown is going to result in their death. Because the Lord really is not messing around with these people. A lot of people don't survive these judgments. When the Lord has these tornadoes sweeping through towns, just destroying everything in sight, multiple people end up dying. The Lord sends these torrential rains that result in mass flooding. A lot of people end up dying from that. Multiple people die in these car crashes, in these plane crashes, in these helicopter crashes, in these fires, in these earthquakes. Like, the Lord is not messing around, man. The Lord shows you how he deals with wicked people. And yet people still are out here being wicked. Even though the scriptures tell you in Psalm 7 and 11 that Yahweh judgeth the righteous and Yahweh is angry with the wicked every day. And that's why the Lord is daily putting people to death. Because he's angry. These people run around here talking about they have free will and they can do whatever they want. But why is it that what you want to do is wickedness? It's because they don't fear the Lord. They don't fear the Lord. And until it happens, they don't fear the consequences either. But as the days go by and more people get put in the spirit world, more people are also going to get shaken up. Because that's ultimately what these judgments are. These judgments are punishments for the wickedness of these people, and it's also a warning, letting the others know, like, hey, look at what will happen to you if you keep being wicked. And that's how those of us of the hopeful elect look at it. We look at it as warnings as to what the Lord could easily bring upon you if you provoke him. So basically, all of these storms and tempests, these are going to be punishments for those who have provoked the Lord. All the destruction and death that's going to come from these storms and tempests, or that are going to be the result. Slack you. That are going to be the result of these storms and tempests are the punishments for these wicked people who have continuously provoked the Lord unto wrath with their wickedness. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash. The Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are still fervently pushing the word in sincerity and in faith, and shalom to all the sincere believers. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up. And Adawan Ratazah. Till next time, shalom.